Impumelelo Mentorship podcast is back. And in season 1, we opened the door by giving you access to some of the country's most inspiring mentors. Now, in season 2, it's more about just listening. It's about being heard. Your questions matter. Your voice belongs in this conversation. This podcast exists because I believe in the power of mentorship and, most importantly, in rising as we rise with others. And if these stories have moved you, challenged you, or guided you, then please continue to support the podcast by liking, following, commenting, and rating us. If these stories have moved you, challenged you, or guided you, then please continue to support the podcast by liking, following, commenting, sharing, and of course, rating, because you know that feedback is a gift and it helps us grow this movement together. Now, what better way to kick off than with someone who is boldly redefining success? She is an entrepreneur, a model, founder of USS Raven, and recently been listed in the 2025 Forbes 30 Under 30. Let's dive into another epic conversation with Masooda Verachia. So, Masooda, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here. Such an honor to finally meet you.
And it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm so excited to be here.
All right, we're going to just get into it. Relax, enjoy, be yourself. It's like having a conversation over a cup of coffee. This is what mentorship is about, right? We want to just be authentic, give people the truest self of who Masooda is. And here I am thinking to myself, your name sounds like a luxury brand. It's like Masooda.
Well, it's amazing that you say it like that, because now I also feel like a luxury brand.
What does it mean?
It means peace, prosperity, and happiness.
What language?
In Arabic.
Masooda. And then your surname?
Verachia.
So Verachia.
Yeah.
Jeez, imagine having a handbag brand. Masooda Verachia.
I think it'd be a bit of a tongue twister. People like, give me the MV bag, please.
That's, you see, we've already got an abbreviation. We've got something
You're
going.
sitting me on a different tangent.
We can make tech and become designers. You know, the world is our oyster, you know?
We can be everything.
And it brings me to just discussing everything about you. I know you are so multifaceted. You're in business, you're a model, you've just landed Forbes Under 30. Tell us everything. Who is Masooda? What's your story from foundation phase to landing Forbes 30 Under 30?
Wow, that's going to be a very, very long story.
Tell us, we've got time.
Wow, I really don't know where to start, eh? I can start with the basics of the organization. So basically, Raven Technologies is an IoT-based company. IoT meaning the Internet of Things. Are you familiar?
Internet of Things, 100%.
Okay, I'm happy. I'm happy that you know that. That for me is already a touching point. So we are more focused in the agri space, so agri tech.
Okay.
So like most amazing ideas, this one again started as a normal conversation in a boardroom where we were just discussing possibilities on where we want to take the organization.
Okay.
Mind you, we are a group of companies and each company focuses on different things. So there's one company that focuses mainly on academics, again in the digital space.
Okay.
There's one company that focuses on green infrastructure, making these amazing modular pods out of recycled waste materials.
Okay.
Another one focuses on SMME development and upskilling SMMEs throughout the country. So we are a group of companies that each one focuses on something entirely different, but for some reason we completely close the gap. We completely dominate the value chain because we kind of see where the need is and we can plug one of the businesses in. And Raven Technologies, like I said, focuses on IoT. And then we realized that, you know, there's such a big gap in the agriculture space, specifically in beekeeping, because we don't have enough Black beekeepers in the space. Women and youth as well. I mean, it's not something you would think of saying that you have female beekeepers in apiaries.
And I think it would be such an interesting industry to go into. I mean, you know, when I think of the way we grow up, it's not the first thing that comes to mind. It's exactly the same as the
100%. And I mean, it's the same thing like saying farming. The minute you say farming, you believe that farming is only meant for it's male dominated again. So you're like, okay, women don't really fit in here.
Yeah, but how do I find my space there, you know? Like, how do I even decide I'm going to be a beekeeper?
100%. And then we kind of did our research and we found that there is a gap in the market. So let's kind of develop a program that closes the gap end to end. So initially, before it had a tech spin on it. It was creating a beekeeping program where we go into these rural communities. And again, I say to you, this is not needed in your Fourways, your Sandton, your Pretoria. You're going into rural communities where you didn't even know that this place existed.
Yeah.
And you liaise with chiefs and the CLOs and you have the right kind of conversations and you realize that, okay, there is land available. How do we bring this program to these people? So it's more people that are unemployed,
Yeah.
or even if they just have matric, but you're taking people from not having any kind of job and creating that opportunity for them. And in partnership with Mine Workers Development Agency, we actually brought this thing to life where we're able to say, you providing these beneficiaries or these soon-to-be beekeepers with the PPE, you providing them with the tools and the equipment that they need, and most importantly, it's a beehives.
Yeah.
So that being said, we also have a company that helped us develop the beehives, and then we went into these communities. So now you've got your set beneficiaries that you're saying, okay, are going to be on the program. You've now you figured out this is the land that we're going to use. Then we go in and do the program. So you've got the right kind of trainers and mentors on site. It's a 2-day training program. I always say to people, beekeeping is not a difficult thing. I've done a course as well. I'm a certified beekeeper. I'm a certified beekeeper. I've not gotten stung by a bee, so I don't know if I'm allergic. It is safe, so I don't know if I'm allergic, but it was an amazing experience.
I can imagine.
It teaches you the value of bees, and there's a deep appreciation for them and what they
that.
do and what they bring to the earth itself.
Absolutely. Now you've got to take me along because I love.
You know what? On my next journey, you are coming with me, and we're going into the apiary.
We've got.
I've got you covered. Up from head to toe, you are safe.
I am 100% with you. I absolutely love that. It's like you guys found the gap to go through this with a skills first approach.
Yes.
And I mean, you mentioned it. The unemployment rate in this country is scary, really. And it's great that you guys have diversified that. I think we've stayed a long time on the thinking or the notion rather of, rather than upskilling our youth, we need to identify how they can, infiltrate colleges, universities, and so on.
Always process, they can't process, and there's never like, let's action this, let's pilot this and actually see where it's going to go. Like I was saying, it's like when you're in these communities and you realize that you're actually giving people a sense of ownership, you're not taking it away after 6 months and not coming to collect it. It is all yours. The motivation you see from these beekeepers is phenomenal because like I said, with the MDA as our partners, they've also offered offtake agreements. So you're saying instead of these guys going to look for, okay, where am I going to market this thing now? Because obviously once the 2 to 3 months kick in and your yield is there, you've got honey being produced. The next thing is to harvest, right? So the option then is to either bottle your own honey. And like I said, this is raw from the hives. It doesn't need big machinery to go through a massive process. It goes through a filtration process. You can decide to put it in a tub, in a Rama tub. You decide what you want.
So you can even just start your own business at some point. So you basically have the foundation, the skill state, and you can just start your own business. You're very equipped.
100%. But I also know that there's some people who like to lead and some people who like to be led.
Okay.
So for some of the guys, that's where the offtake agreement comes in place, where we're saying to them, you guys don't have to go and look for the actual market. Instead of going to your Pick and Pay, your Food Lovers market, we will offer the offtake agreements where we'll buy the honey back from you and we'll push it out on our side. And that being said, I mean, we've seen so many of our beekeepers actually come back and say, no, we're actually going to create a business out of it.
Oh, that's so
And they've pushed their honey brands in local spas and community markets. And it's been amazing to see.
You guys have been driving incredible impact. But now, Masooda, you've given us a very high level of your story and your journey and your business and the people that you work with. But I want you to tell us how you found your beehive. How did you get into this industry? What's your upbringing? What's your background before you even found the space that you operate in so passionately in right now?
Okay, so a bit of my background is I studied psychology. And the reason behind me studying psychology is I always wanted to be someone that I needed when I was younger.
Okay.
And it always, for me, it starts on a mental level, meaning if your mind is right, everything else will just follow. And so I wanted to be that person. And in my head, the only way I could help people, like many of us believe, only if you're a doctor or a nurse or, you're doing something in that field, are you going to impact people? And I studied and I went on to doing my honors in psychological counseling. And I was out there thinking, now I'm gonna be a fully fledged psychologist.
Yes.
And then I didn't really realize that it takes close to 8 or 9 years to also
Practicing.
to be practicing. And I was like just at that point in my life where I wanted some experience. I wanted to work. I wanted to understand what the world was like. And you won't believe me, I was sending out CVs. I think PNet was so sick of me because I was sending out like 10 CVs in a day. And there was just no opportunity.
Yeah.
And I can't put enough emphasis on this, but we don't actually understand the value of learnership programs. And that was the biggest opportunity I was ever given. It was one of the biggest risks because I also come from a family where, they also want you to you've now studied.
Yeah.
You've
So
got-
you've
you've
got
got
to use the qualification.
Yes, you've got to now have a stable job. There's got to be an income. And we all know with learnership programs, you don't get an income. It's a stipend. It's usually under 5 or 4,000 rand, depending on where you're going. And my parents were not happy.
You have to deal with that.
It was a lot of, but what are you going to do with this? It's like, it's so useless. It's not going to benefit you in any way. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't care about the money. I don't care about the money. Because at the end of the day, it's going to open up a door somewhere. And that I had that conviction that it's going to open up a door for me somewhere. Doesn't matter where it is. And it was nothing in my field. It was actually telecommunications.
Yeah.
So it's like talking about networks. And in my head, I was so oblivious to what that was. I was like, no, they're going to put me in telesales. In my head, I was like, I'm going to be in a call center. I'm talking to people the whole day. I don't even like talking to people the whole day. It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I got into this learnership program and I learned so many things that I never thought were even possible. And I ended up loving the space so much. So a lot of it is theory for like a few months, like 3 months theory, and the rest of it is all practical work. And that's when I got scouted by Nokia because they were doing intakes for like workplaces. And that just kind of catapulted me into a different life.
And then now tech.
Yes. That's where the love journey. That's where the love for tech. I actually came in and I was like, I love the space. I actually resonate with it so much because anything tech related means a solution.
Yeah.
It means making people's lives easier. It's a convenience thing. It's not, and I always say to people, we've got this belief that tech is going to take my job, AI is replacing people. But you do realize that you need people to operate the tech. You need people to operate the AI.
Yeah.
So technically what you're doing is you're creating a new kind of skill set in the market.
100%. I mean, I read an article with Reed. I think his name is Reed Hoffman. He's the co-founder of LinkedIn. And he was saying exactly that. He's like, how we can dominate this fast evolving environment of tech and AI is finding one that we can specialize in and capitalize on that, use it effectively. That's all you need to do. And that just needs a bit of time, a little bit of reading, a little bit of practice. And then there you go, Bob's your uncle. And, Masooda, you say something so profound, like that your parents may have not been so fond of the idea of you doing the learnership, but you did it anyway.
Yeah, it was a big risk. I actually had my parents try and discourage me from going ahead, and I actually had my partner say to me, well, what are you going to lose?
What is like to lose? You do it anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, you do it anyway. And I came across your social media literature. And I read a really cool one. I was like, sure, you've got a lot of stories about a few empowering ones. And I found, I love Ruby Doll. And there was one that says, change is what we all seek, yet is a door that nobody wants to open. And I think it's so profound and it relates to the story that you've just shared. But for me, I just want to know from you, what in this journey has truly anchored you to still be able to pursue, even though there may be a few people who are not necessarily for the idea of you going for it?
If it's the one thing that anchors me, I think it's the belief that I belong. And it's just literally those two words, I belong. And I don't just say that for me. I say that for every other young girl out there because it's so easy for us as young women to have imposter syndrome. Whether we're dealing with our family, with our friends, with colleagues, we always have that feeling that, what, am I enough? Am I doing the most? Am I bringing something of value? to the table.
Yeah.
And I think we always struggle. I personally struggle with that. Where I always feel like, am I really doing enough? And then I've got to remind myself that I genuinely do belong. And I don't just belong for me, I belong for every other girl who has not hit the summit that I've hit.
Yes.
And I'm doing it for every other girl who wants to break those barriers. And I call them generational curses.
Yes.
Who actually want to break free of those shackles and just be like, you know what? If she can do it, why can't I do
What's
it?
stopping me?
And if it's just one person, it doesn't have to be 100 people. If it's just one person stepping out and having a little bit of a rebel spirit, I am ecstatic. I am over the moon. I'm so happy to see it. Not because you're trying to create rebels,
Yeah.
but you have one more woman speaking her mind and saying to the world, this is my space and I'm going to own it confidently.
I love that. And let's talk about that a little bit more. You know, we both in the tech industry. I mean,
I love it.
I also do, and I'm learning every single day. It's not a space that I ever thought I'd see myself in. Because, I mean, firstly, yes, it is male dominated, but it almost feels so far reached to go into tech because for me, it almost does feel like the AI world, you know, like
Yes.
too big, too, you know, I must be qualified, I need to know how to code, I need to know this and that. And you now diversified, right? And you took the chance, and then it eventually elevated you to growing and finding your space that you're currently in now. And so we know we've got the STEM subjects. Well, you taught me now something new, the STEAM subjects. And so for instance, I'm in high school, and I haven't taken these subjects. And now I'm in university, and I've done similar course to yours, right? I study psychology.
Yes.
How do I then navigate the shift or diversifying myself? So you obviously went for the learnership, but you know, I'm like thinking, how do I go into this industry now with the very minimal information that I do know, and I didn't take the subjects that would have been necessarily the guiding ones to go into that industry?
With that being said, I think, and I say this to everyone, Google is your best friend. I think when you look at the bigger picture and you see people doing like all these incredible things in tech, you're like, wow, I'm never going to get there because someone is always showing you the bigger picture, but they're never showing you the building blocks on how to get there.
That's
I think research is such an important thing because even when I went into the tech space, I didn't know what 5G was. And then I started reading up on it. Like my mentor would slap a book of 5G on my table and be like, no, just read this. Or he'd give me access to like their portal, and they'd have like all these like really cool courses on tech, like a tech, positive psychology. I think it was positive.
I've never come across
it. It was like positive psychology integrated with tech, neuroscience and tech. And like obviously because I studied psych, I
I
said,
love
okay.
the idea of neuroscience.
I was like, okay, let me tap into that. And everything had like a bit of a tech spin on it because obviously it was Nokia. And my curiosity just grew. And so for young learners that are in university or even in school, if you've decided later on in life that, you know, I think I have a passion for tech, you don't have to be doing mathematics. You don't have to be doing science.
Yeah.
And I think places like Google and AI have made it so much easier for people where you can do a course that's going to take you 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And you can learn everything about AI that there is to know, and you can actually start your own business if you want to start coding websites for people.
Yeah.
And I always say that it's like you were saying, you know, even as a young woman, you feel so scared because you're like, okay, now I don't know how to code. How am I going to put a website together? But I think that's where AI comes in. I always believe work smart, not hard.
100%.
Okay, you got to work a little bit harder, but you can work smart.
You can find a little bit of a balance.
Yes, find a balance.
Yeah.
You know? And you can use AI tools to kick you off or put you on the right path into actually achieving those things. You don't have to be studying a digital marketing course for 3 years in order to decide, you know what, I really am passionate about this. You can actually upskill yourself and scale up just by doing a course online.
Yeah, I think we've been just taught to be scared. I watched a video the other day on LinkedIn where this lady has like a quick rant, and she goes, I studied for 3 years to do communications, and this guy says, I used to develop websites, now I can't do it anymore. That thing just does it in like 2 hours or like 10 minutes even. And I think it's so important that you say that, you know, but even though we can leverage on AI, we need to also be catalysts that can adjust it for it to be better for us.
100%.
So I think we need to be comfortable in the discomfort as we learn through it. And you know, Masooda, you are a woman who really wears many hats. And I sit here and I'm listening to your optimism and the things that you've done and the impact that you've driven in this country. And if there's one piece of advice that is really unfiltered that you'd give to a young girl today, let's rather say between the ages of 16 and 21, rather, what would that be?
Sure, there's so many things going through my head right now because in my head I'm like, I've got a trauma response and I've got like my brain is writing all these notes of all these things I can possibly say right now. And I think the one thing that resonates with me would be it is okay not to be the smartest person in the room.
Oof.
And it is okay not to know everything when you start. And it's like I'm saying, between those ages, you're also still figuring yourself out.
Yeah.
And I was put in a position where I was very quiet when I was at Nokia. So when we are on calls, and mind you, these are international calls with all these senior heads. And, it's so inspiring because these guys have been in the industry. Again, I say very male dominated.
Yeah.
These guys have been in the industry for so long. And all you can do is sit there on this call and be like, you like in awe because you like learning so much. And my mentor, I swear to God,
Yeah.
he had control to unmute me.
Oh my.
So I'd be on mute and I'd just be sitting and listening because I feel so small because I don't know all the things that these people are talking about. I'm learning, but I don't know everything. And I would feel like, okay, because I don't know everything, I need to be quiet and I need to know my place. And he would go and he'd unmute me.
It's your time to speak.
And he would do an introduction and he'd say to them, no, she's an intern.
Yes.
This is what she's doing. And she's joining us. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there. Thank God my camera is off because I want to bawl my eyes out. I'm so nervous. And everyone was very welcoming. And that's how I slowly learned that it's okay not to know everything.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, be bold enough to speak up. And I know it's easier said than done, but believe that there's someone that wants to hear your voice. And a lot of people are going to be uncomfortable with your ambitions.
I like that.
So you've got to be comfortable enough to say, you know what? It's worth the sacrifice in order for you to grow, even if it makes someone else uncomfortable.
That's so powerful. See, now you're talking about mentors, and I can relate to that story. I mean, I had he's still my mentor.
Yeah.
And he was one of my bosses when I was working at a bank at some point. And he would do the very same thing, and I'd be like, this time everyone was in the room. I'm like, oh, I can't even formulate a sentence. I forgot how to speak English. But
you forget your name at that point.
You forget your name, but at least they start you up with a sentence,
Yes.
And what I also learned at that point with what you're saying is, even if you're just saying, right now, maybe I can add towards the end of the call so that you can, formulate your response and take some time to really just process that. But now, Masooda, you find yourself with this mentor. How do you identify the mentor? What are the building blocks to potentially seeing yourself as the way they see you, the ambition and the goals that they see for you?
I think the underlying foundation is you've got to believe and see the good in everyone. And, it's like amazing that you said to me that you also have a mentor. And I'd like to hope that a lot of people have those people that open doors for you, the doors that you're too scared to open, where they open doors for you. And like on that topic, we always talk about male-dominated spaces, which a lot of industries actually are. But I'm going to say the one thing that a lot of women actually don't want to say. But I have had some amazing mentors who are our male counterparts, who have actually not just opened doors for us, but held space for us, where they have said, I'm going to hold this space next to me and I need you to step into that. I can't step into that space for you, but I need you to step into that space. And they've also paved the way where they've said, it's okay for me to stand back because I know it's your time to lead. And me saying that means that, unfortunately, we want to believe that women empower women and women help other women rise. If it's the one thing I can say is male-dominated space or not, I have had more male counterparts who hold space for me and elevate me and given me room to make mistakes because I failed as well. But they've given me room to make mistakes and to fail and get back up, dust myself off and say, okay, you fail fast, you fail forward. But unfortunately, the women that are up there, the women that are preaching about lifting each other are the same women that are suffering with that scarcity mindset. That once I've reached the top, I'm going to cut everyone down to size so I can maintain this.
Yeah.
And that is the worst thing you can possibly do, because we rise by lifting others. And if I shine, I light the way for you. But if you outshine me, you are making way for all of us, because you then representing me. So I need to be encouraged. I need to be motivated and inspired by your light.
Yeah.
Not threatened.
And sadly, that's why you felt me jitter there for a moment. I was like,
I saw that because in my head, I was like, you've experienced it, but we don't talk about it enough, because we feel if we speak about it,
we inferior. And I agree with you, but I think you and I are probably the people who are going to be the agents of that change.
I would love for that.
Yeah, we have to be the agents of the change, to shift that paradigm, to say, to women, I think we must change the notion or the idea of us thinking that we want Masooda's job, or we probably have a different idea of the journey that we want to follow, but we can learn so much from you.
Or you might have a better idea
of what I can even be. Maybe you can be the mentor who's going to guide me, who's going to show me that light. And I 100% agree with you, but it is definitely a paradigm shift that we're going to have to challenge. And I think it's also a humbling journey, but one that we can definitely be part of. But it is, it's a heartbreaking one.
It's a heartbreaking one. But it's like you're saying, there is a paradigm shift that needs to happen, and it's one woman at a time.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it on a big scale, but as long as you're impacting one person, there's hope.
Sure. And let's go back to the impact. We'll come back to that chapter over coffee another day.
Yes.
And so Masooda, when we talk about this impact, right, and you driving yourself as an entrepreneur, how do we impart that onto future entrepreneurs to have that spirit? It's a spirit of extreme resilience and a spirit of taking risk. And how do you then translate that to someone to thoroughly believe that they can go into the entrepreneurship route, especially in the state of the South African economy that we're currently in? I can easily just attest, you spoke about learnerships earlier. I've been exposed to one a few weeks ago with Skills Panda. We work closely with them. And essentially they started like a 8-week course for entrepreneurship, because we can see the unemployment rate is horrific. So how do I then also translate that in saying, okay, I'm gonna just start and I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, and it doesn't have to be big or too unreachable potentially.
Okay, I hear you there. I think the most important part for us is to create that access. And like you're saying, learnerships is one way. Another way that I feel is very, very important, and some people would disagree with me, but I think social media.
Yeah.
I think social media kind of jolts you into that thing of you see different opportunities come your way, because it's at the tip of your fingers. And I think that is a great way to actually just gain a little bit of insight into what is happening around us. Where do the opportunities lie? I know that it's maybe very underrated, but your YouTube videos, something as simple as listening to someone talk about their journey, talking about entrepreneurship, is going to ignite something in you as a person. And it's going to make you realize that, you know what, there is a calling for me here. There is a purpose for me here. And I think entrepreneurship isn't something as simple as saying, you know what, today is today, I want to be a business owner. It starts with passion. It's like if you're saying that I love handbags and I love what Louis Vuitton is doing and I love what Gucci is doing, but you know what, I'm from Africa. And I don't want to be doing what they're doing. It's that passion to create something and put something out into the market that speaks to you, speaks to your heritage, speaks to where you are from, or the beliefs that you have. And that passion in itself ignites that entrepreneurial mindset. And trust me, when people are in that space, you don't even have to motivate them to go and find the resources. They will go and find the resources by themselves. And like I'm saying, you don't need thousands invested into your idea to turn it into something. And again, I say there are so many AI tools. If you need to create a website, that can be your go-to. If you don't need a website, you can just do everything off of social media. You can create an online platform for yourself whereby you transact. I mean, there's so many ways of becoming an entrepreneur that it doesn't have to be, a mindset of, okay, if I don't have this thing registered and I don't have this, take away all the big things, take away all the big words, and bring it down to baby steps. And once you are settled in, you can always scale it up.
Yeah. And everything comes, right?
Everything.
Okay, it's part of the journey. Oh my word. I can keep you here for another 20 minutes.
I love it, eh? I'm having such a good conversation here right now because I feel like I'm speaking to myself. I feel like I'm speaking to someone that is like-minded, and I also I share your energy. I see your light. I'm like, just give me more.
Yeah, me too. Give it. But now, Masooda, we must wrap up. Unfortunately, we'll have to catch you on social media platforms to have more insights, and we'll watch the episode. Now, just in closing, you are very grounded. For me, I mean, I can't even believe you're under 30. It's so grounded. You're so mature. What has it taken to get here?
Sure, I'm gonna say to you that all the bad experiences you had in life, all the things that knock you down, and sometimes you're sitting at rock bottom and you're looking up and you're like, how? Those are the same lessons that God puts in front of you to teach you and to shape you. So I think if it's the one thing that keeps me very grounded, I would definitely say is God and prayer. Everything I am, everything I have achieved is because of my maker. And if God has decided that this is not for you, then it is not for you. So I believe that whatever is meant for you will never miss you. And whatever is not meant for you, whatever is meant for you will never miss you. And whatever is
Whatever is not meant for you will miss you.
Yes.
Is that the way? Yes.
So whatever is meant for you will never miss you.
Yes.
And whatever is not meant for you will never come your way.
That's the one.
And we finally got it. But I strongly live by that because I feel that everything that God has determined for you will come your way.
Oh.
So there's no such thing as I'm competing with Mpumi. There's no such thing.
The pie is big enough.
Yes, it's big. God has made sure that it is big enough for everyone to have a piece. And so that is the one thing that keeps me grounded is that prayer. It's that realizing that there's nothing bigger than God, not even me. And so I take every little thing in my stride. And I mean, besides my family keeping me humble, besides, I've got an advice. Yes, I do. Oh, and your siblings
Driving you crazy.
They will keep you humble. They will keep it real.
They'll be real.
They'll remind you of why you need to be humble in life. And I mean, I've also some. Yes, and they will literally do that, hey. But I mean, I also have amazing colleagues that I work with, like my team of ladies, and trust me, they know how to keep it real as well, and they know how to keep me accountable. And it's like I say to you, the only reason I'm able to sit here and have this conversation with you is I'm backed by incredible men and women, that have made way for me, that have paved the path for me. And I am extremely grateful to have each and every one of them.
Oh, I love this. I think our mentees are going to take so much from this. And I'm so glad you were able to give so much of you. And we'll be having that coffee soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.